I'm Chris Hansen, right now on Crime Watch Daily from here in New York. A Philadelphia murder mystery. A wife and mother found brutally beaten to death on the floor of her home.
Imagine the horror, seeing someone coming at her in a suit, a mask, and a crowbar.
A window smashed. A bloodbath in the kitchen.
He had literally beaten her face in to remove her identity.
What kind of monster would commit such an evil crime? Her husband, an Ivy League professor, has an alibi, but the crime scene is littered with clues.
No burglar would do that.
Today, how cops caught the killer, and in a case that rocked the Philly courts, the monster walked free until now.
This is the captain speaking, and your flight to freedom has been canceled.
Plus, there are 4 generations of crime fighters protecting the Motor City. Crime Watch Daily meets the DiCicco boys of Detroit.
It's pretty big shoes to fill, but we're trying.
Right now.
Andrea Isom, with Crime Watch Daily.
Jason Matera with Crime Watch Daily.
This.
I'm Elizabeth. I'm here with Crime Watch.
I'm Michelle from Crime Watch Daily.
Anna Garcia from Crime Watch.
Is Crime Watch Daily.
Stay off my property.
We'll find you again. We always do.
Welcome to Crime Watch Daily, everyone. I'm Chris Hansen. First up today, a story that made huge headlines in Philadelphia. The wife of an Ivy League professor is brutally murdered while wrapping Christmas presents in her home. And the killer is walking the streets as a free man right now as you watch this.
In a horror movie, there is always a monster.
A wife and mother is brutally slaughtered.
Horribly and tragically. She was alive as he beat her brains out.
But who's behind this savage attack?
Imagine the horror, seeing someone coming at her in a suit, with a mask and gloves and a crowbar.
It's a murder mystery like no other.
They're still amateur killers, and we're professional catchers of killers.
With an ending no one saw coming.
That got us thinking that maybe some of this was staged.
Somebody else was out there who was going to come get her.
It's the day before Christmas break for most people in the affluent area of Upper Merion Township, Pennsylvania, when Rafael Robb, a professor at the University of Pennsylvania, returns from morning errands to discover his wife, Ellen, in a pool of blood. He calls police. There's no audio of the call, but in a transcript released by the Upper Merion Police Department, Rafael states, "Hello, yeah, I just came home and found my wife murdered on the kitchen floor." The officer responding, "She's killed?" "Yes." "How can you tell?" "I know, her head is cracked." "Is there anyone in the house?" "There is a broken window in the back." "Okay, stay out front. There are police and an ambulance coming." In minutes, police arrive and cordon off the area. Inside, it appears that housewife and mother Ellen Robb was wrapping up last-minute holiday gifts in the kitchen.
She had been seated at a kitchen table, oddly facing the wall.
Ellen never sees it coming.
A shotgun blast to the face. Experienced detectives would initially see a wound or a series of wounds like that and think shotgun blast.
Next, CSI moves in and documents the bloodbath. Every grisly angle captured.
The photos that we saw in this case pale into comparison to anything we've ever seen. We have seen horrendous accidents, people being hit by train, people being eaten alive by animals, and these photos were the worst we've ever seen.
There was a lot of blood around where her body was found, mostly at the head area.
Police speak with Ellen's husband, Rafael. They ask him where he was during the morning hours his wife was viciously murdered. Rafael explains he took his 12-year-old daughter, Olivia, to school, stopped at a local grocery store, then dropped off his grades at the University of Pennsylvania before returning home to find his wife.
He was away during the time when Ellen probably was killed.
Investigators pull surveillance footage of his various stops. Rafael's alibi appears to check out. Detectives continue to search the home looking for clues. That's when they spot shards of glass by a back door.
Somebody had broken glass, and it was one of those doors where, with a broken pane of glass, a burglar could reach in and unlock a door.
Right away, investigators theorize
it must have been a burglary that occurred there.
And the motive for murder?
The victim's going to identify the perpetrator.
It seems like an open and shut case. Then, as police continue to collect evidence and piece together what happened, Ellen's brother Gary arrives. He's there to pick up his sister for the holidays.
As I drove up to the house, I saw the house quarantined with the police tape, jumped out of my car, and quickly learned that she had been killed.
It's devastating news for Gary. Ellen is more than a sister. She's like a second mother to him.
When she was in college, she worked 3 jobs and sent her earnings home to my mother so that she could support my brother and myself while she raised us as a single parent.
And now, sadly, she's gone.
I saw them put her lifeless body in the ambulance.
The timing couldn't be more tragic.
She was going to come up to Boston to celebrate her 50th birthday, to celebrate Christmas with her daughter and our family.
Then, in front of a swarm of black and whites, a yellow school bus pulls up. It's Rafael and Ellen's 12-year-old daughter, Olivia.
She comes home to see her house surrounded with police tape, flashing lights everywhere, policemen, ambulance. She gets out, walks up to her house, and a 12-year-old girl says, "I live here."
Gary sends his niece to a neighbor's house while he tries to comprehend the tragedy unfolding in front of his eyes.
Immediately, thoughts run through your mind as to how could this possibly happen. You're in a most peaceful, beautiful suburban neighborhood outside of Philadelphia. Murders and killings of this nature just don't occur in that section of suburban Philadelphia.
Authorities continue to investigate the case as a burglary gone horribly wrong. And now they can't help but wonder if there's a murderer on the loose, looking to rob housewives alone in their homes. The only problem is that Ellen wasn't alone.
There was a little dog there, and animals invariably walk in the blood and trample blood prints all over the place. But the dog was locked in a bedroom. Who does that? No burglar would do that.
And there's something else that's troublesome for detectives. The broken window pane on the door where the burglar allegedly gained entry.
None of the glass is crushed beneath where the killer would have walked.
And it's not just contradictory evidence on the floor. It's on the ceiling, too.
The way the blood cast off had been found on various patterns, especially on the ceiling.
Detectives believe the blood spatter patterns don't match up with a shotgun blast to the face.
The blood splatter that was particularly critical.
And it's not long before their suspicions are confirmed when Ellen's x-rays come back from the morgue. And the results?
X-rays had shown that it was not a gunshot wound. It had been a blunt force trauma injury. It immediately changes the focus of the type of person that you're looking for.
Coming up.
We're talking about a bad guy with a black heart.
Ellen Robb was innocently wrapping Christmas presents when someone busted into her home outside of Philadelphia and bludgeoned her to death. The initial reports are it could have been a robbery gone bad. However, some of the evidence at the crime scene is starting to tell a different story. 49-year-old wife and mother Ellen Robb is beaten to death inside her upscale Pennsylvania home.
Ellen Robb's face was obliterated.
How could this possibly happen?
Now that police have ruled out a burglary gone wrong, they start to believe the murder is an inside job.
I cannot tell you how many murders I did in my career where the last person to see somebody alive and the first person to see him dead is the killer.
And in this case, that person is Ellen's husband, Rafael Robb. Coincidence?
It was apparent pretty quickly that he did have a motive.
When police interview Ellen's brother, they find out Ellen didn't die on just any day. It was the day.
The day that Ellen was struck down and killed brutally, the most horrific bludgeoning in the history of Montgomery County, Pennsylvania in over a half a century, was the day she was to have her own emancipation.
That's right. Ellen was leaving Rafael, and Gary was on his way to take his sister and her daughter, Olivia, to Boston.
He clearly understood that she was leaving, and it was at that point of her freedom that he struck her down and killed her.
According to Ellen's brother, she planned to divorce Rafael after years of verbal, mental, and more recently,
physical abuse began.
But if Rafael has the motive to kill Ellen, what about his seemingly solid alibi? Ends up, just like his wife's murder, the alibi is overkill.
He would be in places where he knows that there would be surveillance video.
Detectives claim at this local Wawa convenience store, he stood in front of a surveillance camera for several minutes and for seemingly no reason while he drank an entire soda.
So amateurish as to be laughable. It was creating a series of places that he had gone that would be plausibly linked together.
But there's just one problem.
It was not in conformity with what we thought the timeline was.
Now making it possible that Rafael is at home during the time his wife is ruthlessly slaughtered. And according to investigators, evidence found at the house points to Rafael as the true killer. First up, the dog.
He intentionally locked the dog away before he went to do the killing, and no burglar would do that.
Second, the door where the supposed burglar made entry.
It actually looked to me like it had been broken from the inside out.
And third, the coroner's finding that Ellen is killed by blunt force trauma.
When a killer uses a blunt force object to commit a killing and strikes repeatedly, once blood begins to flow from the victim, it gets on the weapon, and every time the killer raises and lowers it, that blood splatters someplace.
According to authorities, a beating like this one is up close and very personal.
Somebody who has a reason to want this person to be dead.
While investigators zero in on Rafael, they lack one crucial piece of the puzzle: the murder weapon.
We had actually been told by the pathologist to look for a long cylindrical object.
A murder weapon is never recovered. Still, prosecutors move ahead with their case.
I arrested him and charged him with first-degree murder.
But there's just one problem, and it's about to turn this case on its head. District Attorney Bruce Castor doesn't believe Rafael is a cold-blooded killer.
I didn't think that that's what fit the evidence. I had a written report from 2 psychiatrists telling me that this was a rage killing where the killer strikes more blows with more force, far more than is necessary to bring about death. That tells us the type of mindset of the person that we're looking for.
Meaning, Rafael killed his wife, but in a sudden loss of control versus a premeditated action. DA Castor claims it's a crime of passion brought on by a triggering event. In this case, he believes it's a conversation about Ellen's plans to leave Rafael.
He has a complete freak out, grabs the nearest thing that's capable of producing death, and then goes to town on her head. But unless he admits he did it, then I don't have any choice but to put on the evidence that I do have.
For the next 11 months, Rafael sits in jail on murder 1 charges, facing life in prison and possibly the death penalty. He swears he's innocent.
Now I have a problem because I can't actually go and try to convince a jury that it's a first-degree case when I actually think it's a voluntary manslaughter case.
But then just before Rafael's case is set to go to trial, this bombshell. He cops to the brutal slaying of his wife.
Unbelievable.
Rafael admits to prosecutors that he beat his wife's face in with a nearby chin-up bar, that he staged the break-in and disposed of the weapon and bloody clothes in a dumpster in Chinatown. In his words, he just lost it when he learned Ellen planned to take their daughter to Massachusetts.
Facts that developed fit the forensics.
But Rafael's confession is a game changer for the state's case against him.
It no longer is a provable first-degree murder case in my judgment, because remember, it's proof beyond a reasonable doubt.
And prosecutors believe a crime of passion or a rage killing creates enough doubt to derail a first-degree murder conviction, which requires proof of premeditation.
The district attorney, he stated there was a lot of circumstantial evidence, no murder weapon was found, and that he felt that it would give the family peace to accept a plea deal.
As part of a negotiated plea deal, Rafael pleads guilty to a voluntary manslaughter charge, which carries a maximum sentence of 20 years. But in a shocking decision by the court, the judge sentences Rafael Robb to a lesser sentence of just 10 years. And get this, Rafael has a chance of parole after only 5 years.
How could this possibly happen?
Ellen's family is horrified by the verdict.
We had no understanding of the legal system as it related to manslaughter versus murder, that the sentence guidelines could be as low as 2 to 5 years for manslaughter.
I argued that the facts and circumstances warranted the maximum sentence of 20 years. The judge didn't agree and imposed the 10-year term. I didn't expect him to do that.
But it did happen, and now Ellen's family has to live with the verdict and live without their loved one.
Our family without Ellen is not complete. We're not whole, and we never will be.
Then 5 years pass, and just as Ellen's family feared,
he was paroled.
You heard right. Rafael Robb is a free man after just 5 years behind bars.
It's remarkable to think that after serving only 5 of a 5 to 10 year sentence, he was actually paroled by the Pennsylvania Parole Board. It's very, very troubling.
But Ellen's brother is determined that Rafael serves the full 10 years.
We decided to fight it because it was an outrage not only to our family, but to all victims of domestic violence and abuse.
And in an unprecedented and historic move, the parole board makes an announcement.
And my message to Mr. Robb is that this is the captain speaking, and your flight to freedom has been canceled.
And the first time in the history of Pennsylvania, parole was rescinded for a violent offender, and rightfully so.
That's correct. Rafael Robb is suddenly heading back to prison to finish out his full 10-year sentence. But Ellen's family is just getting started. Coming up, a new team of lawyers is on the case.
This was a premeditated murder.
And they say they have new evidence that changes everything.
Police found an additional Tyvek suit, a hazmat suit in his BMW.
10 years. The shocking amount of time Ivy League economics professor Rafael Robb spent in prison after admitting to beating his wife to death while she wrapped Christmas presents. After admitting to killing his wife in a fit of passion, Rafael Robb is charged with voluntary manslaughter and sentenced to 10 years for the brutal killing of his wife, Ellen. After serving the full 10, Robb was released from prison just this past January. Ellen's family says, hold on.
He can't simply go back into society unfettered while the memory of my sister fades away.
Ellen is serving a lifetime sentence in the grave that we all share, and he is out free. It's very, very troubling.
Outraged by the light sentence, Ellen's family wants justice and moves ahead with their wrongful death lawsuit filed during Rafael's attempt at a 5-year parole.
In looking back at the plea deal today, and the fact that Robb only served a 5 to 10 year sentence, it weighs heavily on the family.
Ellen's family hires attorneys Andrew Duffy and Robert Mangaluzzi to represent their civil case.
The family talked to us and they asked us to prove what they believe could be proved, and that this was a premeditated murder.
And after reviewing the evidence, they think they have a strong case.
Anybody who did this to any human being, let alone his wonderful wife and mother of his only child, should spend every second of their life in jail for the rest of their life.
The plaintiff's attorneys break down the evidence that they presented to a civil jury. They start at the beginning, Rafael's phone call to police.
Rafael Robb did not call 911.
That's right. He called the direct police line. And why is that significant?
He wanted to set up his alibi. He didn't want to be recorded. He would have known that 911 would record his call.
Another thing they say points to premeditation, the complete lack of blood evidence found on Rafael. Attorneys Duffy and Mangaluzzi argue, how in the world would that be possible in the middle of such a bloodbath?
He claimed that somehow after the murder in this slaughterhouse, that he took off his shirt, his pants, his socks, and his shoes, somehow hopped across the blood-spattered floor to the hallway, went upstairs, found baby wipes, cleaned himself up, changed into clothes without a drop of blood. It was incredible, implausible, and an absolute lie.
They have their own theory to explain the lack of blood on Rafael and its explosive new evidence.
He had a Tyvek suit. Police found an additional Tyvek suit a hazmat suit in his BMW.
Make that 2 hazmat-style suits, according to the plaintiff's attorneys. One suit used in the murder, and the other a backup suit he forgot to discard with the other evidence.
If Rafael Robb was a chemist, if he worked in an industrial plant, he would have a potential justification for having a Tyvek suit in his BMW. Rafael Robb was a professor of economics at the University of Pennsylvania. There was no rhyme or reason why he would have a Tyvek suit in the back of his BMW.
Attorneys Duffy and Mangaluzzi claim it's the most reasonable explanation for why there wasn't any blood on Rafael.
We proved that the blood trail stopped abruptly in the garage. And that only means that a Tyvek suit was on, was taken off, was discarded. So the only thing left after the Tyvek suit was taken off was a blood-free murder.
Then there's the issue of the murder weapon, which was never recovered.
Rafael Robb claims that he began to argue with Ellen. He grabbed a chin-up bar and that he beat her to death with it. Those wounds that were found on Ellen Gregory Robb were sharp, lacerating wounds. They are consistent with a sharp object such as a crowbar and not a round chin-up bar.
Then they enter into evidence, pictures of the Robb's garage and the tools.
We had a picture of all the tools lined up, and a crowbar happened to be missing. The physical facts pointed that this was not a chin-up bar. This was absolutely a jagged-edged instrument such as a crowbar.
Which the plaintiff's attorneys argue means he had to go find the weapon. It wasn't just nearby and grabbed in a fit of rage. It shows pre-thought and planning on Rafael's part. Also, they claim a crowbar-type weapon better explains the horrific damage done to Ellen's head.
I will never be able to get those photos out of my mind. Ellen was unidentifiable. He had literally beaten her face in to remove her identity.
The civil trial lawyers then point to something obvious, Rafael Robb's job at the University of Pennsylvania. He's an economics professor who specializes in, get this,
game theory.
It's the science of logical decision-making involving strategic thinking and planning.
People who are proficient in game theory plan things out, they have backup plans.
In plain terms,
this was a premeditated murder.
He had it all planned out, but he didn't plan for his story unraveling so quickly.
Then they introduce a letter written by Rafael to his daughter Olivia 2 years after the murder.
This is the letter that, in hindsight, was the single most important piece of evidence at the civil trial.
In the letter, Rafael is asking for photos of his daughter and the two of them together. He's hoping to show that he's a good father in order to receive a lighter punishment during the sentencing phase. In exchange, he promises to send her Christmas gifts and money.
He goes on, I'd hate to delay sending you the gift, but I won't do so unless I get these items. Won't the love of money propel you into action? Love and kisses, Dad, XO, XO, XO.
And with all this damning evidence, the civil trial kicks off, and attorney Mangaluzzi comes out swinging in his opening remarks. In civil court transcripts, he states, "You are a killer and a liar, Mr. Robb, aren't you?" Rafael responds, "Killer, yes. Liar, too, yes." Also, this stunning courtroom exchange, where it appears Rafael is blaming his wife for her own murder. It goes like this. Rafael says, "My wife pushed me." Mangaluzzi: "So you're claiming to this jury that Ellen provoked you into murdering her, is that right?" Rafael responds, "She pushed me. I got angry. I lost my faculties. That's what happened." Then the biggest moment arrives, and the plaintiff's attorneys call their star witness.
The doors open up. She walks up to the stand, and the jury doesn't see a 12-year-old girl anymore.
Now they see a 20-year-old young lady. It's Olivia. This is the first time she's seen her father, Rafael, since that fateful day 8 years before.
It was the most emotional, dramatic event that may have been witnessed in any courtroom, anywhere.
Olivia's testimony is documented in court transcripts. A portion of her testimony reads this way. Attorney Duffy says, Olivia, before your father took your mother from you, did you fear your father? Olivia responds, yes. Attorney Duffy, why? Olivia, my father could just lose his temper really rapidly and quickly.
Olivia testified that, and ended her testimony with, the thing that disappoints her most when she meets new people is that those new people don't get to meet her mother.
The civil trial ends, and the attorneys for Ellen's estate rest.
We proved that Rafael Robb intentionally and with premeditation murdered his wife. This was no crime of passion.
And the jury agrees, awarding the largest civil suit payout in Pennsylvania history.
$124 million.
Despite all the evidence in the civil trial, Rafael Robb is out of prison. Yes, living as a free man. He walked out from behind bars in January of 2017 after serving his full 10-year sentence for manslaughter. And while Robb can never be tried a second time for murder, Ellen's family has decided to turn their tragedy into triumph. They create the foundation, Every Great Reason, an acronym for Ellen's initials.
We have passionately worked for nearly a decade to achieve many goals on behalf of victims of domestic violence and abuse.
Most notably creating Ellen's Law, which allows victims to meet with the parole board prior to any prisoner's release. And helping others is bringing some solace to Ellen's family. But they're still learning to live with the loss.
When she walked in, she would light up a room, and she would do so in a way that was not centered on herself, but on but on all of those around her. Just an amazing individual.
Tragically, taken by the hands of a monster.
He slaughtered his wife as something out of a horror movie. And in a horror movie, there is always a monster. And the monster here was Rafael Robb.
For more on the civil case currently pending against Rafael Robb in Philadelphia, I'm joined by Andrew Duffy, who represents Ellen Robb's family. Drew, I know the judge recently scolded Rafael Robb in court. What is the very latest on this civil judgment?
Well, he did upset the judge. The judge told him, Dr. Robb, your words have meaning. Please understand that. The very latest is right now we are on a pursuit to literally find every single asset that Dr. Robb has in the world, because the judge has given us this ability to conduct what's called financial discovery. In the financial discovery, we get to learn the total value of all of his assets.
And what do you think the total value of those assets is?
Right now, they're roughly between $3 and $4 million.
Robb recently said in court that he wanted to move to Pittsburgh, but if he didn't have enough money to do so, he would return to the family home where he killed his wife. Is there any justice to that?
There's no justice to that. Is it possible legally? Yes. Unfortunately, there's something in Pennsylvania called the Slayer statute. The Slayer statute gives murderers, believe it or not, what's called a life estate in the house that they used to own jointly with the person that they murdered. So does he own it? No. Can he return to it and live in it till he dies? Yes, he can legally. Is it probable? No. Wayne, Pennsylvania is a wonderful, close-knit community. I highly doubt he will want to move back there.
He recently asked the court for a $100,000 advance from the estate.
Well, his requests were ludicrous, they were insulting, and they told you everything you need to know about the delusional mentality he has right now. He first asked for a nice car, he asked for money for supplemental insurance, and then he actually had the audacity to ask the judge for $50,000 to get his teeth fixed.
$50,000?
His daughter Olivia, who was the primary beneficiary of her mother's estate, hasn't received a penny yet. And this monster wants $50,000 to get his teeth fixed. That's not going to happen. And that was a huge tactical mistake too, because what happened during that request for $100,000 is that he took the stand. So that allowed me to cross-examine him. That's when he divulged that he had another bank account overseas. And that was critically important, because that bank account wasn't previously disclosed in sworn affidavits. And that's exactly what has him in hot water now.
At the end of the day, how much of this estate will you be able to get for your client, Olivia?
We're asking for all of it. We're asking for the millions of dollars he has.
Drew Duffy, thank you for being with us here today. I appreciate it. And we will, of course, keep you updated on this civil trial as news breaks. Now, here's a look at what else is coming up later on today's show. Up next,
I can't find my daughter.
it began with a desperate call for help to find a missing girl, but the investigation quickly takes a tragic turn with a twist no one saw coming. Coming up. It's in Ohio where a family reports their 5-year-old daughter is missing from the restaurant they own. They tell cops they put her down for a nap in the back office, and then suddenly she was gone. Here's Anna Garcia.
It looks like any other Chinese restaurant you'd see in any town, USA. But Ang's Asian cuisine in Jackson Township, Ohio, was Liang Zhao and Ming Ming Chen's piece of American pie. 5-year-old Ashley was the youngest.
She was simply adorable looking. I mean, she was so cute, and you'd see her in there playing with toys and coloring.
It seemed Liang and Ming Ming's American dream was coming true. Until the moment it became a nightmare.
Jackson Township Police.
I can't find my daughter.
That's Liang telling the 911 dispatcher Ashley vanished from the restaurant.
When's the last time you seen her?
This afternoon, probably.
Around what time?
3, maybe 4.
What? Okay, and you haven't seen her in 5 hours?
About, yeah. I mean, she was there sleeping. I mean, you know.
Did Ashley wander outside into the blizzard and get lost in the snow-covered woods? Was she just hiding somewhere inside the restaurant? Or worse, did someone kidnap her?
We worked very hard on this case, and the one thing we wanted at the end of the day was to recover that girl alive.
Police mounted a statewide search, scouring the wooded areas near the restaurant, using dogs, cherry pickers, even drones. They even checked the family's nearby apartment. Where was Ashley? It wasn't long before the question was answered. Ashley was dead. She was inside the restaurant all along.
A 5-year-old girl was taken from us like this. It's not fair.
And now cops say her own mother killed the child and her dad helped cover it up.
We searched the entire restaurant for a missing child. We were thinking that she possibly had gone somewhere that the parents just didn't know where to find her at within the restaurant.
Looking for a place where a child might hide.
Correct.
Not where someone would hide a child.
Absolutely.
Police arrested the couple. Ming Ming charged with murder and felonious assault. Liang charged with complicity to murder and complicity to commit felonious assault.
This has really hit the community very hard.
The cops believe Ming Ming hit Ashley in the head with her fists, killing her. Police aren't discussing a possible motive.
This investigation is not over. We're going to continue to look at how this child was being raised, if there was previous abuse to this child, and if there was previous abuse, what kind of abuse was done to this child.
Liang and Ming Ming are locked up in the county jail, bond set at $5 million each. Ming Ming hasn't yet entered a plea, but her husband has pleaded not guilty and maintains his innocence. Ashley's 6-year-old sister is in the care of foster parents, a little girl who lost her sister forever, and most likely her parents, who could face long prison sentences if they are convicted.
Up next, meet the family with blue blood running through their veins.
We try to be the best policeman we can be.
Crime Watch Daily with the DiCiccos, generations of crime fighters protecting and serving the streets of Detroit.
We're fairly well known around the department as a police family. The joke is that you can't go, too far without tripping over a DiCicco.
Coming up. We travel the entire country investigating all kinds of different stories and oftentimes teaming up with the brave men and women in law enforcement who help keep us safe. Well, today we've got a unique set of officers from my home state of Michigan who are turning the badge into a family business. Here's Pat Lalama.
Each of these men are bonded in blue, dedicated protectors on the tough streets of the Motor City.
We try to be the best policeman we can be.
Each of them sporting a prominent letter D on their appropriately fit forearms.
We like to put out there that we are The DiCiccos.
The DiCiccos, generations of diehard crime fighters. Through each of those veins runs the same blood.
I became a police officer because my father-in-law was in law enforcement. My brother-in-law also was.
Retired Sergeant Larry DiCicco, a.k.a. Dad, 35 years as a cop, and the inspiration for not one, not two, but 3 awe-struck young boys to follow in his footsteps.
Once or twice, maybe more, we all, at some point, was a policeman for Halloween when we were kids.
Yep. There was no real question about it. Kind of knew right from the get-go.
I didn't encourage any of them to join the police department, but once they showed an interest, I did whatever I could to make sure they got going in the right direction.
And the boys have done their father proud. At 42, Mike is the oldest.
The FBI came back with the findings.
And holds the highest rank as lieutenant. Bill is 39, a tactical warrior, having spent years with the Special Response Team, the equivalent of SWAT. He's now a sergeant.
Suspect is a black male wearing all black with a black mask.
Oh, and he's also got 20 years as a Marine under his belt. And then there's the youngest, Max, 27, a patrol officer.
The reason I stopped you is because when you turned right down West Jefferson, you rolled that stop sign. There's never a doubt that I'd do my absolute best to become a Detroit police officer.
Nice.
The men take their job seriously, but off the streets, it's the typical brotherly razzing. Bill and Mike still like ribbing their not-so-little baby brother.
He still wears his varsity coat. It's been 10 years, but that's okay.
And when they do share stories of fighting the good fight on the streets, older brother Lieutenant Mike revels in pulling rank on both his younger siblings.
Once he gets done telling Billy what happened, later on they come and tell me what happened, and I can tell them both what they did wrong.
Pretty much.
As the matriarch of a law enforcement family, Debbie DiCicco is about as proud and prepared for the harsh and dangerous realities of police work as anyone could be. Her dad, her brother, her husband, and 3 of her sons wear the badge.
She's pretty much got it down pat by now. Yeah. But she still worries constantly, though, too.
Poor Mom.
At least she's got husband Larry home, now that he's hung up his gun after 35 years of chasing bad guys.
The older I got, the less I missed it, because I couldn't catch these kids out of high school jumping fences, and I'm just kind of watching their shirt tails go, and all I could do is yak on the radio which way he's going. And the younger guys, they'd be on him like a dog on a rabbit.
The younger guys, like his sons, may have the speed, but Larry's got the wisdom of a lifetime on the force.
It's a group thing. It's not just a one-person thing. Nobody can just jump up and say, big S on my chest, you know, that's not it.
It's just really proud, a feeling for me and for my brothers to just know that he was so well thought of. And it's pretty big shoes to fill, but we're trying.
There's a profound tradition at the Detroit Police Department. As one DiCicco retires or gets promoted, the badge numbers are passed down to the next in line.
When I got promoted to lieutenant, I got my grandfather's lieutenant badge number, L4. But I was able to pass my dad's badge down to my brother Bill.
When Max graduated from the academy, his father pinned the badge on Max's uniform.
I was beyond excited, not only just to be finally a police officer, but just to carry on the name, the legacy of everything.
The DiCicco family grows by the year. Bill and Mike have children, and there are nieces, nephews, grandchildren. The bigger the family gets, the tighter they get. And it's safe to say, another DiCicco will hear the call of duty, one that cannot be ignored.
We're fairly well known around the department as a police family. The joke is that you can't go too far without tripping over a DiCicco.